There it is.
Wow.
Wow. How about that?
All I can say is, first off, I love the opening still. I mean,
oh, I know. It's
just, I'm so excited to be wearing the opening. I mean, because, the hats. Yeah, I'm ready to go. You've got the shirt.
All branded.
I'm wearing a collared shirt because I had a meeting earlier.
We appreciate you dressing up for the night because
it's all Zoom call earlier.
This might be the night I've been looking forward to since we started.
Wow.
It's a magical night. It's the EriDan Film Festival where we talk about movies, and Beatlemania has struck as we're going to talk about movies with Beatles music. Were you a Beatles fan growing up there, Dan?
Yes.
Well, good.
I'm trying to get this to match our colors a little bit better. There you go.
I appreciate that. That's nice. So we're gonna talk about some Beatles.
I love the Beatles. I love the Monkees.
And I think that ties in a little bit to what we're going to be talking about tonight in particular. So I was the chooser of tonight's movies, and we will talk about these movies. But you can join us. Even if you haven't seen these movies, you can join us. You can talk a little bit with us. And then we're going to pick movies for next week, and you can be part of that. So
you said movies. No, we're not. Just one movie next week.
One movie. That's true. You can help pick next week's movie. But tonight we're going to talk about two movies. So this is pretty exciting. We're going to bring some people in. We're going to talk about some stuff. Are you ready to get this thing started?
Yeah. If you want to join us, we have many spots open. Go to EriDanLive.com or EriDanLive.com. And you too can talk about Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, the movie, and yesterday, also the movie, not the day.
I can't contain my excitement. This is episode 88, by the way, which seems very appropriate. I don't know why. But we're going to go with that.
That's true. And Cody just said in the comments here, you too can prevent forest fires. We did have that sound. You too can help prevent forest fires.
All right, we're going to bring some people in, and then we're going to start talking about some movies. Sound good?
Okay.
All right, let's do it. We've got the riders are here. How exciting is this? I'm sure you guys are so excited to discuss movies tonight.
Yes.
I thought fondly about you about these movies, and we'll talk more about this. But talk about movies that you can walk away from and come back 20 minutes later and not have to worry about it. What?
You said you were thinking about us. So.
I was, because I thought, well, this is a great movie that if you're not watching, you can still kind of tell what's going on. Maybe. I don't know. We'll find out. Maybe that's true or not. Let's bring in Cody. Wiki. Cody, how are you, sir?
I'm just dandy. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm so excited for tonight. You have no idea. And Cody's sister is here, and Cody's sister has now become part of the Five Timers Club. So we play this part first. We'll play this part.
And the crowd goes wild. Number 5.
Joining us for her, is this her fifth appearance? Her fifth appearance.
That's why it's a Five Timers Club, Eric.
That's right. Exactly. That makes more sense. Let's say hi to Brittany.
One ring.
It's Brittany, bitch.
There she is.
Well, you nailed the first part. I was pumped about the first part. Now you lost me at that second part.
Oh man.
Oh my gosh.
It felt so appropriate. Oh my gosh. We've got more. We got to bring in Denise. Denise, all the way from California.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here for this.
You have no idea how excited I am that you are here for this. And last but certainly not least, let's bring it Dave.
I'm sorry, Dave. This conversation can serve no purpose anymore.
And by bringing Dave, we've now covered up all the heart.
For my friend.
We've covered up all the hearts by bringing Dave in.
We have until I click that button, and then we get to.
Oh, I see.
But however you want to do that, that's totally cool. All right. You've been waiting for this. It's been 87 episodes. You've gotten away without having to watch this movie. We have watched 108 movies before we had to watch one of my favorite movies of all time, and we're going to kick off tonight with the discussion of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band from 1978. A splendid time is guaranteed for all. Starring Peter Frampton, the Bee Gees, Frankie Howard, Paul Nicholas, David Pleasance, Sandy Farina, and just so many others. Directed by Michael Schultz. $13 million budget on this thing. Worldwide gross of $20 million. We'll talk a little bit about that later. The critics coming in with an 11%.
Yeah, they were generous.
Ouch.
And the audience coming in at a 44%.
I want to know what splendid meant back then because I don't think it meant the same thing.
Yeah, it did.
Artificial sweet.
Splenda. It was a Splenda time is guaranteed for all.
Sweet.
This is when saccharin. This is when there was all cancerous pink.
Yeah, cyclamates. Yeah.
Yes.
Now, when they made this movie, I mean, they honestly predicted that this was going to be a smashing success. I mean, they were all convinced when they were making this movie that this movie was going to be huge.
How could it not be?
Well, in particular,
they found a way.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they made some missteps.
Here's what I would say. I went into it with the lowest expectations. I almost said explanations. The lowest expectations I've ever had going into a movie, because A, I thought I'd seen it before, and B, Dave set it up perfectly. Because I was like, "Oh, this is going to be
lower in that bar."
Everybody's like, "Oh, this is going to be the new Howard the Duck." The opening, I don't know, 7 minutes. First off, I realized why Eric loved it. It opens with a tuba. I mean, how can you not love a movie that opens with a tuba? And then it opens with George Burns, who had a heart around his neck, which goes to the old joke. I just want to see an old man with a heart on. Anyway.
Oh, God.
I know. That's the horrible old joke.
Wow.
I know. If Connie Fox was watching, that was her father's old joke they used to do. Because he's wearing a big heart around his neck. So I liked everything about the opening of this movie. And then I started realizing another reason why I liked it. No one had to talk in this entire movie.
Yeah.
George Burns did the only conversation. The Bee Gees did not have to act, and thank God, because even when they were reacting to things,
although I think Frampton was worse.
Yes.
I don't know. He did good with the hair, combing his hair and stuff in the song.
Oh yeah, Barry Gibb.
Yeah,
with that,
beautiful hair. They have amazing.
Yeah, Barry has hair for days, and poor Maurice is mostly bald.
Yeah.
I'm going to read a quote that Dave just put in the chat here. George Harrison once said, "I just feel sorry for Robert Stigwood, the director, the Bee Gees, and Peter Frampton for doing it, because they had established themselves in their own right as decent artists, and suddenly it's like the classic thing of greed. The more you make, the more you want to make. I think it's damaged their images."
Really? See, that's harsh. That's
George Harrison.
Yeah. Well, first off, Robert Stigwood did not direct; he produced, right? And and Robert Stigwood also produced Jesus Christ Superstar, Tommy, Saturday Night Fever, Grease 1 and 2, and Evita. I think he's okay. George Martin. I do agree that the Steve Martin, the George Martin, who produced, hundreds and hundreds of tracks for the Beatles, he also brought in to mix this movie. Right, he mixed all the movie. He produced all the songs for this movie. Whether that was the right choice or not, who knows? Right, because I think he did.
Oh, we know.
I'll read the next thing. Here's the other thing Dave shared. Well, Dave could read this, but I'll read it. Paul McCartney apparently has never seen the film, but said, "I thought that they could never make a film of it. We used to be stoned all the time and talk about things like, hey, what a great film that would make. But we used to say that the trouble is that everyone is freaking out on acid on this album. You're never going to get these big elephants that are coming through their heads. You can't capture it. Once it gets to be a film, it's always going to be plotting compared to the album. Those days were a fantasy thing. It all took place in your mind. And from what I've heard, the film doesn't capture it.
Oh, it was close. To me, it was close. Maybe to somebody else it wouldn't be, but it was a lot.
Yeah.
Well, my thing was the noise never stopped. And that stuff drives me crazy. That there needs to be some, like, George Burns needed to talk a little more in the middle or along the way, because I was just like, oh my head. We turned it off last night an hour in because Wade was falling asleep. No big surprise. But I just felt like I was being, I don't know, hypnotized or something. I said, let's just revisit this tomorrow.
Interesting.
There were times I found myself thinking, I wish George Burns would sing again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did kind of like his
Now, so George Burns was not actually intended to sing at all.
Well,
He was actually requested if he could have a song. And so that's why they gave him Fixing a Hole. That was added just for George.
Well, I like it.
Yeah, I do too. And he was coming off of a hot streak because just the year before he had Oh God come out.
Yeah, that was a big comeback.
He was hot property. There's an amazing amount of hot property in this movie.
There is.
You know, and this is the whole thing with Robert Stigwood. He was producing the Bee Gees at the time. He wanted a vehicle for his acts. Peter Frampton had just come right out after Frampton Comes Alive, which was a huge, biggest selling live album of all time. Right. The Bee Gees had just recorded the music for Saturday Night Fever. So while they were filming this, the Bee Gees became unbelievably huge.
Yes.
And honestly, they lost interest towards the end of filming because they were so focused on all the money that was coming in from Saturday Night Fever.
That may be part of the reason. They may have lost interest for other reasons too.
Well, they had also been told that they were going to be more in the forefront, and it became more about Peter Frampton in the forefront, and they were more of his background band. So they were a little unhappy about that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So they got in a hot air balloon and flew off to their money.
Exactly. But the Bee Gees actually hired their own on-set photographer to make sure that they'd have their own photos and memories, because they were concerned that the studio provided photographer was just going to be shooting too much of Peter Frampton. And they wanted memories of, which I'm sure they cherish now.
Shades of Love, Actually.
Wait, let me see if my buddy was the photographer. Hold on a second.
Oh,
Never
there
thought
you
maybe
go.
Bruce McBroom.
Yeah.
I mean, this is when he was at his hottest, doing the Farrah Fawcett poster and all that stuff. God, this is a long cast.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, the cast is ridiculous. Steve Martin's film debut.
Oh,
First time Steve Martin was ever in a movie was this movie.
Wow.
Nope.
Wow.
That. How about that?
It was Dave Friedman.
Oh, that jerk.
Yeah.
He gets all the good work.
Oh, jeez.
So it's an interesting time for movies to come out as well. I've done tons of research on this, so I'm going to keep up with the facts. So this Star Wars opened 5 weeks before filming began for this movie, which is probably why they added the semi lightsaber inspired duo.
And actually, ironically, there's a tie-in with Star Wars and the other movie.
Yep.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true. Maybe not ironically.
Could be coincidentally.
This also opened a month after Grease came out.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a great year for music.
And the same year that the Christmas Star Wars special was on TV.
Oh, that's great.
So if you can imagine what
Because I was
stellar
9.
year 1978 was.
I remember that every life day.
Oh, my word.
And Superman came out that year as well.
Yes, it did.
That's true.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, yeah. There's probably a small chance I saw this in the theater at 8, but probably not.
Yeah. Maybe the drive-in.
Maybe.
I may have gone with my
Super
aunt and
51.
uncle. I would have been probably ABC if I went with my aunt and uncle, but that's the only way I could. But I don't remember being in a car seeing it. I think I saw it on TV.
I would just imagine if it's one of Eric's favorite movies, he had to have played it at a sleepover at some point, and I ignored it.
I made you watch this movie. I can't imagine.
So, Eric, did you see it when it first came out when you were 8?
No.
Okay.
No.
I feel better now.
As we talked last week, there was before HBO, before Cinemax, before Showtime was Spotlight.
Right.
Dan and I both had this Spotlight, and I forget what I mean. They had like 4 movies, and they
had this. They had Somewhere in Time.
They had Pirate Movie, and probably I don't know, Blind
Grease 2.
But they would play these movies
Howard the Duck
all the time. And so the funny, so maybe not the funny thing. One of the awesome things is when I met my wife, she had the same memory and experience about this movie. She loves this movie, and buckle up, because to this day she holds that some of these versions are superior to the original.
Maybe one.
Far. She feels a lot more, and I get honestly, and honestly. So for me, this was a gateway to Beatles music. This movie introduced me to more Beatles music than I was being exposed to naturally. So this was a lot of these were the first versions of these songs that I've ever heard, outside of She Loves You, Love Me Do, that kind of Beatles. But to the more Sgt. Pepper's, these were the first versions I ever heard that introduced me to this music.
Right. And I think though that some of them sounded more 70s than Beatles, and that's a totally different sound for a lot of them. But some of them were really good. The Earth, Wind, and Fire, I thought that was their song. I had to look it up. I'm like, why is this Earth, Wind, and Fire song?
Most of the arrangements, they stuck pretty close to the original Beatles arrangements, except for Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Well, the Earth, Wind, and Fire track, Got to Get You Into My Life, is the only one that was not produced by George Martin. Every other track on the album was produced by George Martin. Right. So that's, and so that's the interesting thing, is that's the one that really sort of steps away from the original. And George Martin was quoted as saying, if this is a hit, people will hate me. If this is a dud, people will hate me. I can't win. And he was not going to do it until his wife said, if you don't do it, somebody will. Right. And like, well, I might as well do it. At least I can have some control over it.
This is almost like if somebody tried to make a musical on Broadway and, like, I don't know, end up doing it like Poughkeepsie, New York. Like,
this was adapted from an off-Broadway musical.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Well, I did no research.
So Adam has a strong opinion. Worst movie he's ever seen. Took him 4 times to get through it. He'd rather watch 1,000 rom-coms before he watches this dumpster.
Just when I think I've lost Adam, he redeems himself.
Oh, there it is.
Wouldn't have been hysterical if Adam goes, "Oh my God, I love this. I'm 98.
So good."
So I have some thoughts.
Please, Denise.
Yes.
I'd love to follow Adam's comment. I was kind of waiting. I know that, I'm here for a reason. I tried extra hard to be here this week because I'm totally on Team Eric for this. Also, I didn't have, like, my dream Halloween costume is to be one of the Sgt. Peppers, like the full-on outfit with the little things. But instead, I'm dressed. It's a dual costume. I'm Mean Mr. Mustard from Sgt. Pepper. I'm also the Yellow Submarine.
Oh, okay.
That's what we have going on today.
Right.
But
nice.
Eric introduced me to this movie right before the pandemic. So I have now seen it twice. And the first time was like, take yourself back to when you thought the world was ending. You were like maybe washing your mail. It was just, and so he had teed this up. Like, it's not for everybody, but I think you're going to appreciate this movie. And I do. And maybe for all the reasons he does, but I'll share mine. The joy of this movie is that it does not take itself seriously in any way, shape, or form. This movie is basically a 2-hour music video. It's like a bunch of people got together and they're like, hey, let's get all of our friends that are musicians together and do some crazy stuff. Wouldn't it be awesome if we did this? Yeah, throw that in there. Like, they're just living their fantasy, basically. It is a completely ridiculous storyline because they were trying to squeeze in as many
songs there was a storyline
possibly could. Right? It's just one to the next to the next. It makes no sense. Like, would I like this movie if the songs were not Beatles songs, if they just created a soundtrack from a bunch of random songs? Absolutely not. But I love this because I love the Beatles. And if you don't like the Beatles, I can't even imagine that you would care about this in any way, shape, or form. But I love it. You don't have to watch it. You can just listen to it. It is just so much fun. It's a joy. I was so happy to watch it. And I've been waiting for this night.
I'm going to go out on a limb here. And I'm going to say, Howard the Duck is safe.
I don't know.
Because I am rating this way higher than I would have, because it actually is exactly what Denise said. It's actually fun.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the backstory of Sergeant Pepper at the beginning that's narrated, that part alone, it sets it up a lot better. Like, had they not done that and they just went right into the songs, it would have sucked even worse than you guys think it sucks. But I think that opening was great. And at first it was funny because I forgot it was George Burns and I heard the voice. I'm like, is that Peter Falk? Do we have another movie with Peter Falk?
That's exactly
who I thought. Incidentally, ma'am. I'm like, is that Columbo? What's happening here?
I thought it was him too.
Yeah. I never realized George Burns and Peter Falk sound very similar.
They do.
So that and the tuba music were two of the most exciting parts.
It's pretty good.
Right off the bat. I was surprised that I enjoyed it as much as I did.
Yeah. Well, I think I have to watch this movie.
Dave, he's going to scorch earth this movie. And Richard shares he loves the Beatles. He did not love this movie.
I love the Beatles.
So but Aerosmith. Come on, you got Aerosmith. You got Aerosmith. Come on.
Scary.
I love Aerosmith, but
okay. Here's the funniest part about Aerosmith. They wanted Kiss to do that part.
They did,
and Kiss is like, nah, that might hurt our image. And then they did Phantom of the Kiss meets Phantom of the Park, which it might be the worst movie ever made.
I don't know. Did you watch Sgt. Pepper's?
That's new, hon.
Yeah, and I like Kiss.
My favorite fact about Aerosmith being in this movie is that because in the script, Peter Frampton kills the lead singer of the Future Villain Band, and Steve Perry is like, "There's no way Peter Frampton would beat Steve Perry."
You mean Steven Tyler?
Steve Tyler. Sorry about that. Steve Perry easily could be beaten by Peter Frampton. Steve Tyler, and so they changed it, and that's why Strawberry Fields inadvertently pushes him off the deck because he had to be winning in the fight against Peter Frampton. He's like, "I'll be in it, but you can't make it look that I'm losing to Peter Frampton."
Did I ever tell my Steven Tyler stories?
Maybe.
I don't remember it.
Okay, so I have two Steven Tyler stories. So I'll do it as fast as possible. One of them was we saw him in Maui at a restaurant. And I'm like, who's that old lady over there? And they're like, that's Steven Tyler. I'm like, what? Oh my God. Yeah, dude does look like a lady. And he had his, he has all those scarves, and he had the scarves on the mic stand in
Even
this
back
movie.
then.
And by the way, apparently they don't need microphone cables in this movie anywhere.
No.
And one of them was it was supposed to be a cordless maybe, but the other was a Shure SM58, which is the one I have around here somewhere. And yeah, there was nothing plugged into it. Anyway, and the second story was my wife's cousin went to high school with Steven Tyler's youngest daughter, Chelsea, and they were listening to my CD once in the car with Steven Tyler driving. And I have a joke about it, and the punchline is, "I'm a spider, you dick." And he laughed hysterically at that. And thought that was
wow,
Steven Tyler thought one of my jokes was funny.
So this name drop is sponsored in part by Aglets. Oh yeah, baby. You know what I'm talking about.
I love the Aglets.
Nobody knows what you're talking about.
We haven't heard from Cody and Brittany. They've just been sitting.
I know
there.
they're
I'm just taking it all in.
I have no words for right now. I'll have words when it's my time to talk about that. Don't worry.
All right.
Reagan has a Steven Tyler story too, because at Disney World at Hollywood Studios, there's a ride with Aerosmith.
The Rock and Roller Coaster.
Yes, thank you. I never remember. I don't ride it, so I forgot the name. And she said, "It's that blonde guy, isn't it?" And I said, "That's Gray. He's Gray. He's Gray now. It's Gray."
Nice. Well, Cody, you'll appreciate this because you're into the, you enjoy yourself a comic book. Marvel, when this was made, they were actually
forgot about this.
Produce a Marvel comic for Sgt. Pepper that actually never came out in America, but was released in France. It's being difficult. I got an ad now. Let me see if I can bring this up so you can see George Burns. Here we go.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
So you can see they created the whole movie as a Marvel comic.
I feel like I could have got through that better than I could have got through the movie.
Yeah, that would have been better.
If you handed me a comic book like that, I probably would have been okay.
Yeah, I will say that if they ever bring Sergeant Pepper into the MCU, I'll probably be done with the MCU.
Oh, that's when I'm going to start watching it.
That'll get to these.
It's it's just so interesting though that the Bee Gees and Peter Frampton, because obviously they don't live in Middle America and have their British and Australian. I thought the Bee Gees were Australian. This is British, but nonetheless.
So they were born in Britain. They moved to Australia for quite a while. Then moved back to Britain.
Oh, they're like Olivia Newton-John and Rick Spring. Okay, so the speaking voices were not in line, so they did actually have dialogue, and they were like, "No, we can't use it because it wouldn't make sense."
Okay.
It's like, well, can't they fake it? It's called acting.
They don't know how to act.
Why don't you act like you're from Nebraska?
So I will say, so looking at the budget of this, depending on where you look, it was between 12 and $13 million. $1 million of that was on the town,
Yes.
and all the buildings and all the branding. And I gotta say, as a graphic person, the amount of branding throughout this movie, the little hearts that are places you have to look for them that are just not obvious. They spent money just with reckless abandon. And then afterwards, and maybe because they recognized that they needed to do a heavy media blitz to get people to go see this movie, they spent $6 million on the advertising, not of the 12. On top of the 12, they added $6 million to the budget, which included 2 party premieres on each coast, where there were just giant parties afterward to try to get people to come see this movie.
Wow. Well, the town isn't the same town that was in a lot of stuff. Like it looked like it was in the Wild Wild West and Gilmore Girls. I saw Leave It to Beaver's house and neighborhood.
Yeah, it's a big movie set, but yeah, just the
in the MGM lot
on the town was $1 million.
And it looked great. It looked like $1 million because that was one of the first things I noticed about what I did like was that it looked spanking new, even though it was old fashioned, but I recognized the town and just the way it was filmed, it just looked good. It looked good. They spent some good
money.
Yeah.
To make this a success. They felt, people have been quoted on saying, like, we really thought we were making something special that was going to be a huge success.
Well, the costumes were great.
I do have this wonderful, here's my copy of the soundtrack.
It's a cutout.
Yeah, cutout. What a shock.
Cutout, I know, right? But trust me, I have 3 copies of it. I also have
that's his daily copy.
Cards.
That's so cool.
A whole set of cards. You can get an entire set of the cards on eBay for around $10. What was cool about the cards is that on the back of the cards was like a puzzle. So you could put the cards.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yes.
That is, So yeah, you could build a little poster with the back of the cards.
Very cool.
Here's something interesting.
I love that.
So that album peaked at number 5 on the Billboard charts.
Yes.
You know what peaked at number 2 on the Billboard charts that year? Steve Martin's Wild and Crazy Guy.
Good casting. They had the casting.
That was after the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he had a special in 1978 also, with the white suit and the air. Yes. Reagan Reagan loves Steve Martin, and she pulled up this thing today of him making this goofy face in Cheaper by the Dozen. She says, "This is the funniest thing I've ever seen him do," and I'm like, "Pull up King Tut."
So has Reagan seen Only Murders in the Building yet?
No,
yeah.
She watched. What was it that Pap told you to watch? The Jerk.
No, he told me to watch The Jerk, and I haven't yet. He told me about
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yeah, I watched that
pillows.
One.
That's been on our holiday list.
Long.
Never yet made the wheel.
Yeah, it was a little long for me, and I still liked it, but it was more fun to listen to. Like, we talk about movies in the pool, And he would talk about that when it was so funny to listen to him talk about it. He was so excited about like specific parts that like I either did or didn't remember, but I was like, this is great. Like that's the good part of that movie for me was listening to him talk about it.
Those aren't pillows.
Yeah, that's what he said.
One of my favorite things in The Jerk is when he, and this isn't a spoiler or anything, but when he hitchhikes a ride, and he goes, I'm just going to the end of the block. He goes, okay. And he gets in the car and they go to the end of the block. He's like, thanks.
That came out the year after this.
Yeah.
Crazy. All right. So I'm gonna bring up some interesting. So here's my discussion about the music in this movie is that there are some times where there are songs in this movie that aren't trying to move the story on. They're very like the performances, right? They're great. There's a few moments where there is direct literalism in the movie.
You mean like the funeral?
Like carry that weight right at the moment that they're picking up the casket.
That's even better. It segued from there into so heavy.
And that's the thing. So it's a lot of it is at the end of the movie because you have carry that weight, then you have him going down the long and winding road while he's singing, and then you get back where we talk about the weather vanes, magical power to resurrect the dead.
Did Steven Tyler come back? I don't remember.
No.
They didn't bring him back. Okay.
So Strawberry Fields comes back. So interestingly enough, the Coronet was recently on eBay and was available. I'm talking like 10 years ago, and was bought by a museum in South Dakota, and the National Music Museum in South Dakota has the Coronet on display. And interestingly enough, also at an auction house in 2012, the 6-foot weather vane went up for auction and was purchased for $1,200.
And Eric's like, and here it is.
And I'm like, I totally would have spent that on that.
Yeah, the tuba.
Totally worth it.
I hope the museum is guarding the Coronet well because, Mean Mr. Mustard's trying to steal it for reasons that make absolutely no sense.
Because it is the source of all happiness.
Yeah.
So you do have to be careful.
If you're high,
Strawberry Fields was, Olivia Newton-John was up for consideration for that, but she chose instead to do Grease.
I'm glad because this girl had a nice voice.
She has a great voice. Sandy Farina. Enough. She was 23 years old, but had never acted before and was so nervous on the set that at one point it took her 16 takes to open a door. And from that point on, they kept calling her 16 Take Sandy.
And I don't know her name from anything else.
No, that was the only movie she did.
Yep, that was.
Wonder why?
Is she Dennis Farina's sister?
No relation that I could find.
Wow, two people named
her,
Farina.
Her and the woman that played Lucy both had albums come out shortly afterwards that did not have much impact on the world.
Wonder
they
why?
had nice voices.
But was Lucy up in the sky with diamonds?
Well, I didn't understand why she's leaving home made sense. I mean, that was just odd.
Oh, that's so literal. That's so literal. They just took
wait, she's not going to meet a man from the motor trade?
It was pretty dead on. Yeah.
Adam's checking into his hotel, so his score might be delayed.
That's all right. We got
Just
more.
Give it a 1 now, Adam, and call it a night.
So when Alice Cooper filmed his parts, he was on a 3-day pass from rehab for alcoholism.
Yeah, it looked like
it. He looked like it. Wow.
I've seen him look better than that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He aged really quickly, but then he's frozen for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow.
I mean, the We Are the World ending was kind of awesome. I mean, it was cool seeing all those people in there.
There are an amazing amount of people. They wanted so many more. In the novel, if you want to read the novel of the movie, it lists I think there are 7 pages of names that they describe as being in that group because they were trying to sort of make you think of the Beatles album cover. But the choreography at the end is just
choreography.
They were not on sync at all.
The lip syncing, by the way, in this movie, it was the worst lip sync I've ever seen in a movie. Like you can't sing. I mean, it's like they weren't playing the track.
It was Ashley Simpson like.
That might have been the copy you had.
Yeah. It's like just go by memory and we'll put it in later. It's like, no, you're supposed to actually play it.
Wow.
So you can sing along.
Well, ironically, that was one of the reasons that Robin Williams bowed out of Howard the Duck. was because he couldn't ad lib because they had already filmed all the duck parts, and he had to follow along, and so he dropped out as the voice of Howard the Duck.
Well, who is the voice of Howard the Duck?
I can't remember. Nobody nearly as interesting as Russell.
That's funny because it just makes me think of the opening scene. Not the opening. Is it the opening scene of Mrs. Doubtfire where he's doing the narration for the little bird that's smoking a cigarette, and he like just starts ad libbing, and the bird's already animated, and then they yell at him. So he's talking about smoking's bad. I'm like, that sounds like Robin Williams.
Yep.
Oh yeah, and
I've seen this before somewhere.
In Aladdin, I mean, he wrote almost the entire movie because he just ad libbed all that, and they had to write around him.
Wow, they were smart enough to be able to animate it after the fact.
Yeah.
All right, I think I've dragged this on long enough. I will share my last. These aren't freaky facts. My last facts are: Dan said this album went to number 5. Oh Darling by Robin Gibb went to number 15. Come Together by Aerosmith went to 23, and Earth, Wind, and Fire number 1 on the soul charts.
Absolutely, I remember it.
Yeah. So yeah. So there you go. So I think is it time?
Well, real quick, just to what you said earlier about Steven Tyler, and so Joe Perry is the one who said it. That's why you said Stephen Perry. There's no effing way that Steven's going to get directly offed by Frampton. It's got to be an accident. The way it was in the original script we agreed to, like they were pissed off
when the Strawberry Fields dummy goes flying off and hits the stairs. It's one of the funniest moments ever.
No, okay. So the first time I watched that, I literally gasped out loud. I was shocked.
It's hard.
Everything leading up to this, I was not expecting that. I think that was like one of the most shocking moments in film history, except for the end of The Sixth Sense.
AFI's most shocking moments in film history, number 1.
Nobody will be allowed to leave during the shocking Strawberry Fields scene.
That's right, exactly.
I kind of felt the same way though, because it was just like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And
the only thing more shocking was when she came back to life, to be honest. The two most shocking film moments.
Well,
number 2 will surprise you.
And I will say there's I've done a lot of research on this movie. There's a very interesting article written that makes all sorts of relations to the Bible.
Oh, I knew this.
It's fantastic. The reference, the correlations they make as George Burns as God, the Weather Vane as the Holy Spirit, and Strawberry Fields as Jesus. And that's
of course, she's resurrected, so she had to be
in the movie.
Well, then who is Steven Tyler?
He just represents all the horrible things in the world. And that's the thing. You look at all the things. It's greed. It's there's all this evil villain hand. Look how terrifying. And these guys,
there's the back there, boy.
That made no sense.
He's got the scarves around the microphone.
Look at that face.
I know he's already.
How old was he?
Oh my God! Look at the frog face. 78. Let's see. That was. He's probably 30.
Come on, this is the most amazing thing you've ever
We're
seen.
gonna get so kicked off for this.
And yet somehow Steven Tyler, when diluted appropriately, became Liv Tyler. So it worked.
Yeah.
There it is. Oh, let's watch that one more time, shall we? There it is. They're fighting. She goes to help. If only I could play this in slow motion. We could watch it over and over again. Oh, she's so concerned.
No.
She's so concerned.
No.
There he is.
Yeah,
There's
Frampton,
no way.
Right. That's right, Frampton.
Fetus terror.
Oh,
he's down. Oh boy, look at that. Oh, that's a problem.
Oh, get the leg out.
That's a problem right there.
At least he didn't do the Family Guy thing, and then she just falls.
Oh, that's so good.
See, I kept waiting for that to happen.
And then mean Mr. Mustard's like, oh no.
So if you are interested, somebody is selling actual bills from the movie, $10 bills from the movie for $50 a piece on eBay. Looking for some ultimate.
Eric, here's Eric.
All you, Eric. That's all you. You can have mine.
Yeah. It's interesting. As Dave's things, we hate love, we hate joy, we love money. One of the reviews of this movie was the fact that it was a business deal set for music.
Their tagline should have been "We hate joy, we love money."
All right, Eric, it's time. You got to do it.
All right, we're gonna do this. We're gonna put up with it. All right, let's hear it.
Just all right. Let's let the writers start it off.
What?
Should Eric start it off?
Eric should start it off. You know where I'm going with this.
I know.
Yeah,
that's fine. All right, here we go.
I'm not. Yeah, I will even admit there are parts of this movie that aren't my favorite. You know, but still in my heart, this movie is a 400. But I won't do that. I've already said. At the end of the day, it's delightfully and memorably absurd, and I love that about it. And I love the fact that you can put it on, and it's just like I love the soundtrack. I can listen to that over and over again. So having the movie on, whether I'm watching or just listening, it's fantastic, and I enjoy it so much. As I said, it introduced me to the Beatles. It was a 93 for me, and so I'm doing that, and so we can move on quickly.
All right, now we'll go to the writers.
Okay. Well, watching it, like I said earlier, I liked that it didn't look cheesy. It could have looked so cheesy, and it didn't, and I really liked that. It was one of the first things I noticed that they spent $1 million on redoing that town that has been in everything since TV began, and probably before that. So I like that. And it's the Beatles, yes, but some of the music, and it was very, like I said earlier too, the music just had a 70s vibe to it that doesn't belong in Beatles music. And the only one I really liked was Earth, Wind and Fire, but I had heard it before because it went to #1 in its own right. And I liked Steven Tyler singing the song that he sang too. So it wasn't as low as I thought it would be, but seriously, it just droned last night. We were just like, oh my God. We probably had it too loud, waiting for lines that weren't there. And that doesn't help when you're tired and trying to not go to sleep while you're watching a music video. It's kind of hard. So the score that I was thinking, I'm actually going to make it a little higher, and I'm going to make it a 79.
Excellent.
Right. So I like the nostalgia. It made me feel like I was a teenager again.
You used to dress that way. You used to dress like that with the satin.
Yeah.
He had feathered hair too.
He did have feathered hair.
Yeah. My nickname was Jimmy Connors because I had Jimmy Connor hair back in those days. So when I had hair. Anyways, actually, another thing is a friend of mine is a big Beatles fan.
Yeah.
And his oldest son is Maxwell Edison Fleshman.
He's named after it.
He's named after Maxwell Edison. So
that's awesome.
And then later he tells me, he goes, I named him after Maxwell Edison, but now I think I found out that the guy was like a serial killer or something.
You didn't realize?
He didn't realize.
You never actually listened to the lyrics?
No. Reagan just said Darren doesn't process.
So anyways, I go, well, that don't come true. Anyways, yeah, they did have a nice Learjet in it too. So I'm going to give it a 75.
Nice.
All righty. Keep it in the family, Reagan.
I want to make sure you guys can hear me on this.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I want to say, like, for both of these movies, I know basic knowledge about the Beatles. I'm not a Beatles fan. Like, I know some of their music because, like, my friends have liked it or people in my family have liked those. Like, I grew up listening to it, but it wasn't, like, in our house or anything. You know what I mean? Like, it just wasn't a thing.
Sorry.
In general.
Failed as parents, Stacey and Wade.
Yeah. So I just have basic knowledge of the Beatles. That's it. Right off the gate, I will not watch this movie ever again. I felt the same way. It was like, it just droned on and it killed me. I left and took a shower in the middle of it. I was like, goodbye. Like, I could not do it. And then I came downstairs and it was turned off. So, like, we watched the rest of it earlier. If I'm honest, I don't remember a single thing about it besides Steve Martin and Aerosmith. That is all. But that being said, I really loved it. And I think that it was because exactly what Denise said, like, it is a whole music video. Like, that's it. Like, you could tell that they took it seriously. Like, I agree with my mom saying that it wasn't that cheesy, because even though it came off as that, they took it seriously. They had actual fun with it. It wasn't made to look stupid. You know what I mean? It was like made the way that it was made and the way that they did it. I don't know. It just seemed really, really fun for them. And I don't know. It was just really fun to watch, even though I have no idea what happened. It just reminded me a lot of musical and how we were all pretty terrible. Like dancing wise mostly. And then there's like the songs were kind of bad. Some people couldn't sing right and all this stuff. Like, it just reminded me a lot of being a musical. And I think that's also why I liked it too. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of with my mom on it. I think that I'm going to give it a 78 because I did miss a whole chunk of it.
And it was from 1978.
That's fair.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Cody, what say you?
You don't want me to soften about
honesty counts. You just
I know.
I have given very low scores before, so I have no problem with people being honest.
And as I always say, Eric did not write this movie, did not produce this movie, is not in this movie.
So
you will not love it any less, no matter what you say about it.
How I've rated movies up to this point was A, what the movie was, like what the movie was itself, and B, how I felt about the movie. A, I don't know what this movie was, and B, I hated this movie. I sat here in this chair watching my screen, and I was waiting. I was waiting for the moment where I'm like, all right, they're gonna have some dialogue, they're gonna talk to each other, things are gonna, like, there's gonna be a plot, something's happening, and then every time that I got excited about something happening, they took it right out from under me, and I can't. I would rather. I'm trying not to be too dramatic because dying is a little bit dramatic.
That's a little.
Yeah, a little.
But I would rather literally sit alone in a padded room for 5 days than watch this movie again. Dead serious.
Wow.
I just there was nothing.
No joy. You do hate.
Here's the thing. No joy. No joy. I wasted money on this movie.
Yep.
There was no moment where I was like, oh, that was cool, or oh, this was good, or oh, like no moment came where I was like, yay. Even the fight scenes were so dumb. If they would have been fighting over a plot line that made sense, I would have been all down for it. The way they were fighting and the joke lightsaber fight, like, it would have been cool, but it made no sense. Like, zilch, zero, none. And with that being said, I'm giving this movie a 24.
24. All right, that's better than I thought.
It had an ending, or it had a beginning and an ending, and there was stuff in between. It was still a movie, I guess.
How many? Let me ask this question, Cody. How many bands in this movie or actors in this movie had you ever heard of?
Heard of a lot, but if you would have said, "Hey, that's the," I don't know faces. I know names.
But like, have you even heard of George Burns?
Nope.
See, that's part of the problem, I think.
It's generational.
I don't think that's part of the problem. I love George Burns. I love the Beatles. I hated this movie, so that's not part of the problem.
Right, I'm gonna. You know what?
I'll tell you what. Seeing Steve Martin, yeah, that blew my mind. I was not ready for that at all.
Because his hair wasn't all white. It was just gray. All right, Brittany, you're up. 5 Timers Club.
See, this isn't really. I mean,
no, you're good. You're good.
But I can't though. It's fine. I can tell you how I felt about it, but I don't think it's fair that I give. We watched it, sort of.
How far did you get?
Oh,
I mean, we got to the end. We just
If you start skipping musical numbers, you just go right to the end.
Yeah, basically, like that's kind of like we started it, and then there was no dialogue, and we were confused. So then, we watched it, but we watched the little clip on the bottom of it where it's fast forwarding, and we're like, okay, now this is happening. Okay, now this is happening. Okay, oh, now they're fighting. Oh, wait, there's money. And then he's play it, and he's like, okay, what's happening now? And then we're trying to kind of okay, I see what's happening. Okay,
you know what? You knew about as much of it was happening as I knew was happening.
We tried really, really hard. We really did.
Yeah, I say if you don't want to, you don't have to. If you feel that you know,
I don't think that
fairly
I don't think that it's fair that I give it a rating if I didn't actually
see the
sit
movie.
through all of it. Although you
All right.
guys have made comments before that you have gotten up and done other stuff while you've watched movies, so I don't know. I mean,
Rate it.
I've only done that to a movie I've already seen though.
Brittany,
Right,
I left.
that's fair.
Just rate it.
I don't have to rate it. I don't. It's okay.
Reagan just said she left. Rate it.
She did leave. That's true. She said.
Oh, you
Yeah.
took a shower. Did you take a shower?
I took a whole shower. I left. I was like,
What's a half shower?
no, like
Don't
it
answer
Where
was,
you
that.
do
it was
hair
like,
only or body only?
It was just the whole. I was like, I need a spa day. That's how I felt. I like did not come back. That's what happened. Go for it. Rate the movie.
Peter Frampton will do that to you.
He spent all day Sunday listening to the original songs to save his life.
Ouch.
Somebody gets it.
That's
it was
so
tough to get through. Like,
Yeah.
I was excited for the songs. Actually, like, I was excited. I like musicals. So when Eric's like, okay, it's musicals, I was like, okay, like I can do musicals. Like, I like musicals. This will be okay. But musicals normally also have words in them too. Like,
It's more like an operetta, yeah.
yeah, there's stories to.
If I would have said it was like an operetta, I don't think anybody would have been excited.
I would have been like, oh, Beretta's at the beginning? What?
Yeah.
All right. So you're passing.
Or do you want to throw a number in?
We can come back to you.
Yeah, you think about
Come
it.
back,
Think about it when you hear.
Come back at me.
All right. We go to Denise, who we haven't seen in a while. Welcome back.
So I don't know if this effect is going to work because I don't actually have a glass as big as my head, but I raised mine up for you, Eric. I already spoke my piece about this movie. It's just so much fun. I give it an 86.
Yay.
All right. Dave.
Okay.
No, sorry.
There are really three things I liked about this movie. One was Earth, Wind, and Fire. Even though I'm really not a fan of their version of the song, I like the Beatles version much better. I appreciate what they did with it, and I thought they did a good version of it. Two was, even though it was a dumb scene, the scene at the end with all the cameos was fun for in a Where's Waldo kind of way.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, look, there's John Mayo. Oh, look, there's Edgar Winter. You know, that was kind of cool. And the third one was, it's over with. So it's not coming up on the wheel again. I don't have to dread every time Eric's name's on the wheel. So it had nothing else to redeem it. And I do disagree with some things that were said earlier. Cheesiness was wall to wall. I mean, no special effects. Well, the balloon that an airplane suddenly flies into the balloon. They're on the plane. I mean,
that's how it works, isn't it?
That's fun.
What?
Right. You've been on a private jet stage. You have to take a balloon.
Bringing Strawberry back to life was just ridiculous.
It didn't look cheesy.
It looked cheesy. The special effects look very cheesy.
No. Like it was supposed to be like a music video. It looked like it made sense for it to happen the way that it was happening. Like it looked like it fit in a little bit. Like it's not serious at all. And you're right, it is dumb. And it is cheesy.
Someone just yelled upstairs. It was the 70s.
Seriously.
Yeah, Star Wars came out the year before, so it was the 70s. Does not cut it for they couldn't do special effects. Sorry, but no, it was just the acting was horrible. The overacting by Mean Mr. Mustard with him doing the songs. Mean, such a dirty old man, such a mean old man.
It's so memorable. Look at that. You can repeat it line for line.
Yes, that's impressive.
Martin had to deliberately do when he was doing Maxwell Silver Hammer. He had to do every single syllable. You know, it was just like, just awful. And not an Aerosmith fan. Come Together's a great song. Their version is mediocre. The music in general, like I said, other than Earth, Wind, and Fire, was just an embarrassment to the Beatles.
Yeah.
I just found nothing I liked about it. It was worse than I remembered it being, and I remembered it being horrible.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the final straw, as Eric already brought up, was when they're picking up the casket and playing You're Gonna Carry That Weight. Like I said, the only thing that could have made that better was segueing into She's So Heavy, but they didn't.
My wife and I both agree that when we were growing up, we thought that both of those songs were about death. because that's where we were introduced to those songs.
It was just bad in every way. So I'm not going to belabor it anymore. It was a 12.
Wow.
12.
I almost
Wow.
said
Now,
Howard the Duck for me.
Now let's go to somebody who was around way back when the Beatles were out, and she was a very young lady when the Beatles came out. My mom loved it.
Wow.
She loved the Beatles music, and she loved watching it. It did seem long, so she did watch it with a very long intermission.
Mm-hmm.
But she does give it a 92. So you combine her 9 plus 2 is 11. So that's one less than Dave gave it. Adam, and I think if I'm not mistaken, is basically not scoring it, because if you give something a 0, you're not scoring it.
No, it does. That does have an impact on.
No, because our ratings are 1 to 100.
100, he gives it a 1.
So you got to give it a 1, Adam.
Okay, we'll give it a 1.
Adam, you could have just not watched it and not rated. That's the other option. You don't have to watch every movie.
It's right, but then if you don't get to rate it, then it gets higher than it should. That's it ends up higher on this.
Well, that's why you need to finish the movie.
Yeah. So he says final 1.
You have the privilege of taking it down a notch.
Yes.
You do have to finish the movie.
As I said, I am in, Eric and I have a lot of similar likes, going back to Debbie Gibson probably. But there's also things Eric likes. I'm like, really? First off, this is funny. So Richard, for once he respects Adam's response.
I always respect Adam's response.
I do too, because it's his own opinion.
Yeah.
Although it just sucks tonight. Anyway, yes, this is a cheesy movie. Yes, I was like, when are they going to talk? And then again, I was, thank God they're not, because I imagine that would have made it even worse. I do not think this is a horrible, horrible piece of crap that some people have basically insinuated. I think this is not something that I would recommend. It's not something you have to see. Like I like to talk about filmmaking, and this is a must watch. No, you don't have to see this movie.
No,
ever.
you do not.
Nope.
Well, okay, but it is a study into a movie that looks like a sure thing on paper.
Yes,
so it's important to know about this movie, but maybe not to watch it.
Honestly, if you like right now, if you said, all right, we're going to do this movie, we're going to do all Michael Jackson songs, and it's going to star Justin Timberlake, and you name everybody, you can, Tom Cruise, you name all these people, you go, oh, that's going to be a hit. That's going to be a hit. And then you get, I believe they call it Drek. This movie could have been so much more. And probably if it did have dialogue, it might have been better if it actually had a story. Yeah. But yeah, it's a collection of videos. If you like the music, it is super cheesy. There is humor in it. And I'm going to give it an 87.
Wow.
Nice.
Question.
Yes.
I was talking about the town that they filmed in, and the backlot town. Is that also where WandaVision was filmed too? Because it seemed like I kept recognizing that.
Also, it is part of the MCU.
Cody's done.
Well, WandaVision, this was MGM, so I don't think they were. Well, let's see. Disney does own MGM now. The MGM Studios at Disney. I don't know.
It looks, parts of it looked similar with the shots.
I think that this, if I'm not mistaken, this was the MGM that used to be in Culver City, which is now Amazon Studios, which was Desilu for a while. So, and I think it was destroyed. So I have a feeling that set is no longer around.
Yeah, I think it got burned up.
Right, but then they have, I don't know.
First
I was thinking it might be centered
because that's right.
It was a Universal film, and at first I thought it might be Hill Valley. Like I was trying to see, oh wait, is that the courthouse? But
yeah, Reagan said that same thing.
Yeah,
there are tons of lawsuits over that fire because a lot of artists lost their master tapes that were improperly stored there, and there's been back and forth lawsuits ever since that fire now, trying to get some recompense from Universal, because Universal took a big settlement from the insurance company for it and then passed nothing along to the artists.
Cute.
Yeah. We have another vote came in from Margaret Schemer. Again, so she gives it an 82.
I can't believe it. That's awesome.
Dave's like,
I found myself constantly looking, how much is left? How much is left?
funny.
I'll be honest. I watched it in one sitting. This is, and for me, that's rare.
I watched it 3 times this week. Just for twice with just the movie and once with the audio commentary.
And by the way, we're at 6 o'clock.
Well, I know we've definitely
9 o'clock, and we still have another movie to talk about.
So we have to find out, is Brittany gonna throw out a score for what?
Okay, so here's what I did. Richard gave me a score, and I have a score, and we'll just pick one instead of both of us.
Just average them out.
We'll just share combined.
Okay.
That feels fair, right? We watched.
You each saw half the movie.
We get half of our 2 votes, right? I don't know. We'll give it a 50.
Perfect.
That was Richard's, not mine. I gave you the higher of the 2. You're welcome.
Okay. I thought that
while you're calculating the score, my last thought is, like I said, I watched this at the very beginning of the pandemic and then now. And my one regret is that I haven't watched it more often because you don't have to watch it, just listening to it.
Yeah.
Like it's just fun. Like it made me so happy. Just,
You have to be okay with the performances. At the end of the day, if you don't like the performances, then that doesn't work. Right?
Yeah.
If you're okay with the performances, then it's a wonderful movie to just put on anytime.
Did anybody see Across the Universe?
Yes.
Yes.
That's another movie that they took Beatles songs.
I know. Actually,
movie.
I told Eric I wanted to make it a triple header and watch all 3. I didn't have time. I think Eric did.
I did have time. So I did watch Across the Universe.
Yeah.
Nearly as joyful as the 2 movies we watched.
See, I love the dark stuff.
It's good, but it's a lot of drama.
Obviously, long since this movie was made, they have certainly seemed to have settled on at least something of a formula for making movies that incorporate, Mamma Mia is a perfect example. A hugely successful movie, incorporating a ton of ABBA music, and found a way to make it work with a coherent story. Whether you like the story or not is a whole different question, but at least it was a coherent story.
Right.
And whether Remington Steele can sing or not.
Well, yes. Don't get into Pierce Brosnan singing, please.
You would have had issues with that as well? All right. I think. Well, thank you all for humoring me for such a long conversation about this. We do not need to talk for quite as long.
Just processing.
Jody Crow in the comments says
buffering,
even though he's right here.
I needed to use the buffering symbol.
I know.
You got it's definitely memorable. You will definitely remember this movie for many years to come. All right, let's talk about yesterday. 2019. Everyone in the world has forgotten the Beatles except for Jack. Hamish Patel, Lily James, Ed Sheeran, Kate McKinnon, James Corden, a bunch of other people. Danny Boyle directed this, and $26 million, $153 million at the box office.
Wow.
Critics coming in at a 63, the audience coming in at an 89. I had never seen this movie, so I only put this on here for selfish reasons because everybody who I've ever mentioned this movie to says, I love that movie. And I'm like, I want to watch that movie then. And I'm like, well, that would be a great. So like when we started doing double features, I'm like, that's going to be in my double feature. So I have not watched this movie purposely for over a year.
Wow.
You could watch it as part of this discussion.
Thank you for sacrificing for us.
The thing with this movie, and Adam makes a comment, can we please stop with movies that revolve around Beatles music, please? This movie didn't have to be a Beatles song.
No.
Beatles movie. It could have been any band. It could have been any item.
It could have been Michael Jackson. It could have been.
They touched on other things too.
It could have, but who has that?
Coke and cigarettes.
Who has that catalog, right?
Yeah.
Right.
There's very few. Bob Dylan, maybe.
Stones, if it was the Rolling Stones, you'd get like 8 songs in, and it'd be like, well, I don't really know one.
Yeah.
Right.
This is the catalog where he could keep coming up with songs. It's like, oh yeah, I know that one. Oh yeah, I know that one. Oh yeah.
Biz Markie.
I never could have come up with the lyrics to 700 Beatles songs. Though.
I would have gotten it.
I could probably do 50 or 60 of them.
To most of them.
Right.
I did take the history of the Beatles and I got an A in college. So.
Oh man. Whew.
Yeah, I'm sitting there when he's struggling with Eleanor Rigby going, oh, come on, it's obvious. Come on. How can you not know that?
Obvious.
I need to ask a question before I even process this movie again. Did they ever explain how the 3 of them remembered?
No, they don't explain a lot of things.
Just
you just
needed
need
to
let
make
it go.
sure that I was correct.
No, that was never
You
explained.
just gotta let that go.
Right.
Like why Coke and the Beatles? We don't know. We just
the Coke, the Beatles, the cigarette. I got it. I like that. I thought that was a little funny humor. The not explaining it part.
It was just he slipped into an alternate universe, basically.
I never mind them not explain. You don't need to explain everything. That doesn't bother me.
Cody, if you need an explanation, you just have to accept the fact that when he got hit by the bus, he went into a coma and never woke up.
It's a multiverse. It's part of the multiverse.
Yeah, just pretend it's Marvel. You're good at that. Just go.
Yeah, you accept the fact that he's dead.
Kang took him into an alternate reality, and you know.
Yeah.
All right. So when I saw it in the theater with my son, and my son loved the movie, and he was, when did this come out?
2019.
So 3 years ago. So he was 14 years old. And when he walks down to the house, I'm thinking it's gonna be Paul McCartney. I'm like, it's gotta be Paul McCartney. He's gonna do a cameo. When he opened the door at first and it was John Lennon, I was like, holy shit, like out loud in the movie theater.
Same.
Because I thought for a second, like that, like, oh my God. And then I was like, okay, it's not John Lennon.
Right.
And I thought, oh, they had, and it was the actor from Stargate Universe, actually, who played the part. But wow, I mean, it like shocked me. I don't know if it did that to anybody else.
Yeah.
But they totally surprised
me. The movie, without that scene, the movie would not have been the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was huge.
Yeah,
that's one of the things that I liked about that it was John Lennon, and I wasn't surprised about that. Because I don't know, you can't make it obvious by the only one that's alive, you know what I mean? Like you can't do that. So I thought that it was cool. Okay. I didn't know that. But I liked that it was him because he's the one that like he was killed and he was young, and it was like around the time like the Beatles were still going like kind of full force. And so I think, at least that I know of, I guess not.
I mean, he was only killed because the Beatles were famous. So if the Beatles don't exist,
10 years after the Beatles broke up.
So that's why I liked it, because he was the one that was killed, and it's sort of closure.
You think about that too much, though. There doesn't seem to be consequences to the things that have been removed. They do some consequences, they don't do other consequences.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Right. Because like so like the joke is that Oasis doesn't exist because the Beatles didn't exist. Right. But we also remember that the reason that Lily, or was it Ellie, thank you. Lily's the actor. But the reason she liked him so much is because he performed an Oasis song in the 4th grade talent show.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, I didn't catch that.
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I think she would have liked him if he performed any other song.
Yeah. Well, that's possible. What did he perform? That's what I want to know.
You know, he probably did Beat It.
And how would the world be different if there were no cigarettes?
Well, you know, it's funny also. There's a lot of weird things in the script that they could have changed. Like when he first performs Yesterday, his friends are like, well, it's not as good as Coldplay. And what's funny is because Ed Sheeran's role was originally supposed to be Chris Martin of Coldplay.
Ed Sheeran,
they switched to Ed Sheeran.
Ed Sheeran is so good.
Oh, he's great. But they left the script in. They left that scene. They should have changed it to, you know, you're not as good as Ed Sheeran.
Yeah. Well, it would have been a teaser that Ed Sheeran was coming up.
I guess. They did get the permission, by the way. They did get the blessing from everybody. Ringo Starr, Paul McCartney, and the estates of John Lennon, George Harrison all blessed the film. But they only really need to get permission from Sony because that's who owns all the music.
Yeah. So I'm with Dan on this. I saw it in the theater. It was something that I had been excited. I see like 2 movies in the theater every year, you know, in the before times. So this was like the one I had been waiting to see. I went with my mom, and you know, I loved it. It's a sweet movie. You know how I feel about sweet movies. I don't like them, but you throw in Beatles music and then that's how you hook me. So I enjoyed it. I like the characters. I like that.
Except for Kate.
Honestly, I also live in a world where like I can't imagine it without Beatles music because it is like so influential and so much pop culture. I mean, I think there's maybe a little bit of an age gap on that moving forward. But I mean, if you think back to all the musicians that they influence that then influence future people, like they are just like, I mean, I agree with Eric. I don't think you could do this with any other artist and have the same impact. They just have so many songs, like songs everywhere, songs that you don't even know are Beatles songs for many of you on here, probably that you've heard and didn't realize that they came from the Beatles because they've been redone in so many ways and they're just everywhere. Yeah. But yeah, I like this movie so much. I forgot it ended in such a sweet way. So I'm kind of surprised I like it so much. But I love that, you know, that what he did. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a screen grab.
Bernie
from
loved
something,
that
but-
guy.
I got so pumped when I figured out who that was. It took me a minute because I was still stuck on the whole John Lennon thing. But
It's
when I figured out who it was, I was like,
Rumpelstiltskin.
Cody or Richard. I was like, that's Robert Carlyle. I'm like looking it up.
Yeah, Robert Carlyle.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Because he's not in the credits.
Oh.
Yeah, he's uncredited. Yeah.
He's uncredited.
Oh.
Because they could, if they put in the credits, then you could go on IMDb before you see the movie.
Exactly,
And see
it ruins the
Robert
surprise.
Carlyle as John
Yeah.
Lennon, then it ruins the surprise.
Oh.
I love the fact that there's the two people who remember the Beatles, and they kind of set it up like,
Yeah.
I got it watched out. I was like, oh.
And what
he knows
that was
this.
such an amazing scene when they're just like, we just want to say thank you. We just are happy that you brought this. We can't sing. I mean, that was honestly, that was like one of the best. I died for that scene. That was
Were they on the bus and they died too?
I don't think the Russian guy was on a bus.
They're not having a shared coma dream.
Well, you know what it could be is that he's in a coma and one of them's the doctor, one of them's the nurse, maybe.
Oh, it's a whole
they're in
Wizard of Oz thing.
Yeah,
Exactly. That's what I was thinking.
I prefer the alternate universe theory.
I thought of the Wizard of Oz too. That's what it seemed like. Like, just weird stuff's happening. So, I think that's
Mom?
when we watched it too.
Yeah,
Life without coke and cigarettes would be just fine.
It was just
I'm with Susan on
I
this
love
one.
when he was on the plane and asked for Coke, and the lady was like, "Excuse me."
Yeah, really.
And I like that they left that out of the promotion, because that would have been an easy joke to put in the trailers about the other things that were missing.
Right.
Yeah.
Wasn't like Tom Cruise missing too? What else
They
was
took
missing?
away Harry
No,
Potter.
the things that were missing
Harry
were
Potter.
the Beatles, Oasis, Coke, cigarettes, and Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought they could have easily teased. Those would have been great trailer jokes that would have ruined it for the actual movie.
Absolutely.
Right. So when they pitch the movie, it's like, no, just the Beatles are gone. And
One thing that really is a mind twist, though, is if you watch the Blu-ray with an alternate ending, they switch it up, because when they're in the house together after getting together, and she's at the window, she's the one who starts talking about Harry Potter, and he goes, "Who's that?"
Oh,
It really makes it a mind twist.
That would have been cool for him to not remember.
that might have been too much.
Yeah,
That might have hurt some people.
yeah, broken a few of us. Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking things up on this movie because I'm still mad about it, about not knowing. But this quote might save it for me. It said, "Yesterday truly celebrates the timelessness of the Beatles' music and its importance to the world. Even though the band itself was never formed, through Jack performing their music, the film clearly demonstrates that people all over the world in any era are still affected by the uplifting and joyful power of the Beatles songs."
Do you want to change your score on Sgt. Pepper now?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, no, I think that sums it up. That's how, absolutely.
Yep, absolutely.
It is one interesting thing, though, because the original writer of this, it had a totally different direction, because he was a struggling screenwriter who could not sell anything. And one day he just got so frustrated, the idea occurred to him, if George Lucas had never made Star Wars and I wrote it, I still wouldn't be able to sell it. And that's what inspired his idea for this. But in his version, that's the theme, is even though this guy has all this Beatles music, he still can't be a success.
Right.
And when the guy who bought the rights to it, he bought the rights to it and he didn't even read this guy's screenplay. He just bought the rights to the story and Richard Curtis and wrote his own version of it from that premise.
Yep.
Which I think is the right way to go.
I do
because
too.
the music's that big that anybody who would sing this music, if they can sing, the music's that good.
And the performances are really. Here's an interesting thing. So I did watch this movie twice this week, and this is a great movie too that you can just have on, and the music really worked well with the movie, but the soundtrack by itself does not. The performances aren't good enough to just listen to the music by itself.
Yeah, he's a semi-professional musician, basically.
I can listen to the Sgt. Pepper soundtrack endlessly. I love that. This soundtrack, not so much, but the movie again is a wonderful movie to put on and just kind of come in and out of and get great performances of. It's just a lot of fun to watch.
See, that's funny because one of the comments that Richard made between the two movies was in Sgt. Pepper, he wished there was less music and more talking. And in Yesterday, he wished there was more music and less
Yeah.
like the music we were really enjoying that.
Yeah.
And there was not enough of it. We were like, we keep going, like more songs, like let's go.
Summer song.
Okay, Adam, I have to ask you a question here. So Adam says alternate title could be or should be Guy catfishes the world by stealing Beatles music.
That's the cynical take.
Yeah.
But if the Beatles didn't exist, I mean, what's he supposed to do is go, well, I remember this band and I didn't write this music, because a lot of musicians say songs just come to them.
Yeah.
Like Chris Martin, even he was on Howard Stern not too long ago, was talking about the song Yellow. And he said he goes, it just came, they wrote it in 10 minutes.
Paul McCartney dreamed Let It Be.
Yeah, because and Mother Mary was his actual mom. His mom's name was Mary. It wasn't the Virgin Mary. It was his mother Mary said, let it be.
Well, yesterday too, like he had that music going for so long and the lyrics were scrambled eggs for a long time because he just knew like a 3 symbol.
Yeah, and he actually
Paul
McCartney,
I don't know my words, you know what I'm
yeah,
saying.
he was afraid he was stealing it, which is why he took so long with it. He wanted to make sure it wasn't a song that he was misremembering.
Right.
Yeah, and he actually recommended when they talked to him about this movie, he said you should call the movie Scrambled Eggs.
That would be I would love that.
And then
too.
Kelsey Grammer said no, it should be tossed salads and scrambled eggs.
Exactly.
Calling again.
Wait, are you making this up, Dan?
No, Kelsey.
Oh,
no,
that's a
the
clever
Fraser
joke.
thing I made up, but the other part I did not.
Wow. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, like Yellow, the song by Coldplay. He said he was just doing a Neil Young impression, and some of like the stars are. He's like, look at the stars, see how they shine for you. And he just did that as a joke, and then a whole song. 10 minutes later, he was done. He had a song. So sometimes things just come to you. Maybe there was another band that none of us know about that, Kiss came up with.
The thing with this soundtrack is that in the story premise as it was originally written, that you would have to have somebody really good singing these songs for them to be, for him, or is that right? Really good and still not making it, even though he has the Beatles songs. Because you know what I'm trying to say? Is that making sense?
For the original premise to work,
Yes.
you have to have someone who should have been able to make them a hit, and yet somehow couldn't.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. Thank you, Dave.
Well, we need 4 people. Maybe that's the whole. Maybe that was the premise. Well, there's only one of you.
Yeah.
Like, how the other 3 guys going to do it?
And music has changed, right? So whether were the Beatles in the right time and the right place for some of their songs, that's my son's take on this. Is he's like, never happened. He goes, no, there's no way those songs would work today.
Well, like, dude.
I mean, some of them, like, some of them, no, like, just they're too simple and like they were in that but some of them, I think, would be anytime.
The Beatles did not drop 700 songs immediately, right? I mean, that was the course of 15, 20 years that they slowly released their catalog, and everybody got to watch them grow.
Oh,
they didn't jump to
quite a
Octopus
range.
and Charger.
You could tell when they went through their like tripping.
It was much less than that.
Yes, absolutely. So you guys keep saying 700. Is that an actual number of Beatles songs?
Yeah, I believe so. When he uploads the songs, I think that's the number.
Well, I remember when the Beatles channel started on XM. That was one concern, was they didn't really have enough songs to warrant a dedicated channel, which is why they sort of had to expand it with solo songs by them.
Yeah,
and
I was going to say, if you include
like
songs that the individual Beatles did,
Okay.
because there's a lot of those as well. I mean, Paul McCartney's still writing songs.
Yeah, Paul and John wrote around 200 songs.
Okay.
229 songs are the Beatles total.
Wow.
But then when you add, stuff that Paul's done afterwards, and stuff that George has done, and Ringo.
And things. Did they write for other people and not perform them?
Yeah, not a lot, but they did.
Okay.
Plus, they did a lot of cover songs too.
Yeah.
In the early days, I mean, they did Meredith Willson, for gosh sakes.
Twist and Shout.
Till There Was You from The Music Man.
All right, well, there we go.
All right, at the time.
Okay, so because I don't know if we'll ever get another Beatles movie, although I may put myself on the wheel so that we can. If I can make a special request, you don't have to do this, but I would love to hear when people give their score who their favorite Beatle is.
Okay.
Well, and that actually influences my score, so that's an interesting comment.
My favorite Beatle is Juice.
Okay. That's fair enough. I mean, you can pass on that. Like, that's just an extra credit.
Oh, I didn't mean to hit that yet. By the way, just speaking of Beetlejuice, can I say one quick thing and then we'll do the scores? Did anybody see? So in the TV show Community, they did this gag that is probably one of the smartest things I've ever heard of. In the first season, somebody said Beetlejuice once. In the second season, somebody said it again. And then third season, Britta says it in the library. She says something Beetlejuice, and all of a sudden Beetlejuice walks behind her.
No,
shows up. They spread it out over 3 seasons.
I didn't know that. That's so cool.
Yeah,
I thought it had to be 3 sequential. I didn't know it
well,
could
it
be
probably
like
does,
cumulative Beetlejuice thing.
It's a gag.
It's a gag. All right. Speaking of gags, are you going to play the intro again, or we just go to scores?
No, let's just go for it.
All right. And so it is yours. So you
mine. I loved this. This was awesome. This was super fun. Again, joyous, lovely, wonderful movie. Not absurd, but just awesome. I will say this is the only thing that really bothered me about this movie is the classic I watch too many movies problems that Cody has, which is you're constantly waiting to see, is he going to wake up and then realize that he really loves her and hasn't given her enough attention, and then he's going to fall in love with her and he's going to tell her he's loved her after he wakes up. So you're kind of waiting to figure out what's happening, right? So I will say this movie, the first time through was really great, like an 88, but the second time through, when I wasn't waiting for that and I could just enjoy every moment in an extra universe, I loved it even more. So I give it a 91.
91 from Eric. Then we go over to Rocky.
Quickly to me. I really enjoyed this. We saw it in theaters when it came out. I knew the premise in the sense that I knew it was about a guy who, woke up somehow in a world where no one but him remembered the Beatles. That was really about all I knew about it. So I went in with a little bit of knowledge, but really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it again on rewatching. I've always been a John guy. And in fact, that's one of my criticisms of it. It was very Paul heavy. If you actually go through the songs, it's more than 2-to-1 Paul over John. They really only did 2 John songs. They did In My Life and Help. The rest were either Paul songs or collaborations. So that was a little bit, it didn't hurt the movie. It was just a little disappointing from a personal perspective. What was there? There was something else. What was it here that was just slightly? Yeah, man, I know you're supposed to dislike her, but I really hated the Kate McKinnon character. Almost enough to really make the movie not as good as if she hadn't been so over the top.
Yeah.
Just so stereotype, mean, vicious, greedy record company executive person type of thing. It was just too overdone. And I love Kate McKinnon. But that was weird. But the 2 people who remembered was really well handled. Richard Curtis must love this type of character because Rocky in this movie is almost the exact same character as Spike in Notting Hill.
Yes.
And it's the same writer. He just must like to write that character into his movies. So that was a little bit, gee, seen that already, guys. But it didn't hurt it. The Lennon scene made it for me. I mean, I would have liked the movie a lot if not for that, but you're in this world where yes, there's no cigarettes, but otherwise there's no Beatles music. That's such a lost. I grew up listening to the Beatles music in my house because my sister's 10 years older than I am, which meant she was a teenager during Beatlemania. So she was playing Beatles all the time when I was a little kid. I just heard them all over the place, and I didn't have context for it then. But it was ingrained in me. And then later when I came to appreciate them, it really sunk in. But that was a huge lack. And then that scene that it's a world without the Beatles, but John Lennon lived.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It just, I don't know why. That was just an emotional keystone to the movie in some ways. Mm-hmm. And it really took what was a very fun, pleasant, lots of nice music, rom-com, and made it more. And I really like that for it. So to me, it's got a few criticisms, but it's a 91.
All righty. And Richard in the comments says he really enjoyed it. The London punk style version of Help was his favorite. This one gets an 85 from him, and his favorite Beatle, George Harrison. Eric, who's your favorite Beatle?
Oh, sorry. Of course, it's Paul McCartney, the best Beatle. It's the absolute best Beatle.
You're the dancer in this show.
Absolutely. I'm all about Paul.
All right. We're going to go over to Cody. And we're going to leave Cody. Okay.
No, like I said, I think Eric hit it on the head. Like if I watch this movie back again, it'd probably rate differently than what it does now. And I can accept that for what it is. I think I was just I was 100% waiting to find out.
Figure it out.
I wanted to know the twist. I wanted to know what they were gonna do or say, or like, was he gonna wake up and find out this was all fake, or was it gonna be that like when the power went out, something happened to everyone else? Like what was gonna be?
Cody, Thanos snapped his fingers. His catalog went away. Just take that.
Apparently, I don't know, but like, no, this I really did enjoy the music in this movie. The same thing that Richard said, the version of Help. I loved when he screamed it at the end because you could like feel like he wanted help.
Yeah, his voice is breaking. Yeah.
Oh, it was so good.
Well, it probably felt like he was losing his mind, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And no, I did enjoy this movie a lot more than I thought I was going to. And that actress is like adorably cute. Like every time that they were together, I was like, can you guys just please like, I just wanted them to be together.
And she's starring in the new Pam and Tommy movie on Hulu, where she plays Pam.
That's why I knew the name. Oh my gosh, I'm dying to see that.
And she's live action Cinderella.
Yeah, she's Cinderella.
So yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed this movie a lot. I think if I watch, I'm gonna admit that if I watched it back, it would probably be higher. And maybe if I find someone in the next week or two to watch this with that hasn't seen it, maybe I'll text Eric and re-rank it or something. But for now, it's gonna sit at an 83.
Really respectable.
All right.
That's not bad. 83 is not bad.
All right. What do you think? What say you?
I liked this movie a lot. I actually had kind of forgot about it. I remember seeing previews for it, like while watching something else, and then being like, "Oh yeah, I think I would really like to see that." And then I don't know. The pandemic happened, and I got busy. Life happened. I don't know. So when I saw it, I was like, "This one definitely has to go second because I think I know I'm gonna enjoy this one." And I did. Like I already said, like I really enjoyed the Robert Carlyle cameo because I have been home with a newborn. I've been binge watching 7 seasons of Once Upon a Time. He's Rumpelstiltskin, so I'm like, I know that voice. Like, oh, I got so excited.
Forgot about that.
Joel Fry cracks me up. I really enjoyed him as Jasper and Cruella, so it was cool to see him and his character kind of like change, like to see a little bit more range from him. That was fun. I think I agree with Rebecca's comment about his parents interrupting him with "Let It Be," and he was like, "This is a masterpiece," and like I got so frustrated. Like the first couple of times, I'm like, "Okay, this is kind of funny," and then it kept happening, and then the guy comes in, and then his phone rings, and I was like, "Oh my!" Like Richard and I were like, "He just needs to get up and leave. He needs to go play it for somebody else. Like this is so stupid. Like I'm so angry at his parents. They suck. He needs new parents." Like, I get it. He's not a good musician, but like, listen to your kid. I don't know.
But he was 25.
I know. That's fair.
Well, then it was their song. That was even more funny.
Whoops! What did I just hit?
What did you do to her?
I didn't do anything.
She's gone.
I wasn't even near. I wasn't even on it.
Oh, now you did it.
She'll come back.
All right.
Here she comes.
To be continued.
There you go.
I don't know what happened. That was scary.
There she is.
And I blipped. I went into
Yeah.
where EriDan did
the Beatles.
awful.
We're still talking about movies. It's 5 years later.
I think one of the things that kind of bummed me out, like, yeah, like I get wanting to know like what happened. Was he in a coma? Did he die? Was it going to come back and stuff like that? The ending was super, super sweet. It was really cute. I got a little emotional. They had like the most adorable little kids. Babies just make me cry now. I don't know, a mom thing. I don't know. But
it's a parent thing.
Yeah. But I was really bummed that it didn't go back to his life before, where he had realized that he didn't need to be successful and that he could just pursue her without having gone, you know what I mean? Like almost like you go through like in this other life where you're like, oh yeah, I'm missing out on this in my real life. And then you go back to your real life and you get it. So it was a really cute ending. I just wish he would have gone back to his regular life where the Beatles existed. And he's like, I don't need any of that. And kind of skip that. And then the guy from Moscow, I thought for sure him and that lady were going to end up being bad people. I was like, that guy's got
it up beautifully.
He's mean mugging this guy. I'm like, this is going to be bad. Like,
who is your favorite, John Paul, George, or Ringo?
Yeah. Yeah, but it was really cute when they ended up saying thank you. So I think overall, I'm going to give it an 89.
89. And speaking of 89, we're going to go to the writers now.
There you go.
I don't know. I just said 89.
Okay.
When I'm 89.
Yeah, we're getting there. You go first.
Well, thanks.
Thanks.
Yeah, we had seen this before, and actually, I enjoyed it more the second time around, I think. And I think I really enjoyed Rocky in the movie the second time around. The first time he was a little annoying, but then the second time around it was like he kind of held it all together there with his little humor on things. But and I like the music, and so I'm just gonna go give it a 90.
And he was on a plane.
And I'm gonna say
There was a plane.
He was on a
He was
plane.
on a plane.
It was on a
Yeah,
plane.
I've been on a plane once or twice. Yeah. And
It's got to be worth something.
I guess George Harrison would probably be my favorite. He played the ukulele a lot, and that's kind of cool.
Oh man. Yeah, I think we either watched this on Prime when the pandemic began, or I brought the DVD home from work. I don't remember. Yeah, okay, I brought it home probably because it came across the desk. And I went, I wanted to see this, and I brought it home from work this week too. I like the premise of the movie because, fantasy stuff. What if? I the cheesiness of, because this was cheesy, the electric storm that turned off all the electricity in the whole world. Wow! And a bus hits this one guy
That this time I noticed had no lights on. That's how it hit him. Yeah.
Yeah. Weird. So that was, and this time I reacted the same way to that bus hitting him as I did the first time. Oh, every time. So I do like it, and I had the same reaction that Brittany and Richard did to his parents. It's like, oh my god, because you are frustrated for him, but as a parent, you kind of get it in a way too. But
More to Brittany.
They gave him so many years to make it as a DJ. I mean, as a musician, and
anyway. So
I did think it was really funny when his dad recognized Ed Sheeran, and
that was really hilarious. You look like Ed Sheeran.
okay.
Yeah. So I liked that Ed Sheeran was in it so much that I thought he had something to do with this movie. I didn't realize that he was just a role to play. I didn't understand that. I thought that was funny. He was adorable.
He was adorable, but he was also a little bit of a jerk.
He was a sore loser.
When
When
the guy's up staging him, so like, okay, fine, I'll challenge you to a songwriting contest.
Then when you lose, I walk away and go to bed.
So that was cute. It is a frustrating movie because you're like, you want those tied up neatly endings. You want to know what's happening. And it was fun. It was fun that the cigarettes weren't a thing and Coca-Cola wasn't a thing and Harry Potter. And then he's like, "Ooh, what can I do with that?" Like, you are not going to rewrite Harry Potter. Nobody could. No. But I liked it, but it was frustrating. But that's where you have to suspend that disbelief and just go as entertainment. It's entertainment, and I was entertained by this movie, and I give it a 90.
All right.
Do you have a favorite Beatle?
Oh, my favorite Beatle is Paul McCartney because he has the prettiest voice.
Oh, I forgot to say Ringo Starr.
Oh, nice.
Ringo's pretty cool.
He's a lefty. I married one of those. I don't know.
He's a drummer.
Yeah.
He's the Jewish Beatle.
Oh, really?
And he used to be the voice
Starsky.
of Thomas the Train Engine.
Oh, that's right. Who's Thomas Tank?
He's Thomas Tank.
Yesterday was the perfect song to listen to during the pandemic, says my mom.
Yes.
Paul McCartney's her favorite. She gives it a 95. Rebecca Rosato in the comments gives it an 82. Such a creative idea for a movie.
Yep.
Although she likes a different ending.
Mm-hmm.
I think I already said this one.
Yeah.
Richard gives an 85. Let's see. Who do I have left? We have Reagan.
Okay, get ready.
Wow.
So I do have zero connection to the Beatles. Like, I don't have any any bit of Beatles in my heart just because I didn't grow up with it. My favorite is Ringo Starr just because he has a cool name. So I liked two of the songs. I liked his version of Yesterday in the very beginning, and I liked Help because it was in the Big Time Rush movie. So I knew that one. But I did, like Cody said, I liked it. I liked the way that it was used. I liked the way that song was used in this one. I liked that they came back and were like, hey, thank you for this, because I was like, I didn't think he was going to get in trouble for it, but I understood him feeling like he should have gotten in trouble for it. So I wasn't quite sure. Like, I liked that that's how that was handled, and I thought that it was nice. And I do think what Rebecca said, it was a creative idea for a movie. I thought it was fun in the way that that people are like, what if this just happened? You know what I mean? Like, what if I was the only person that remembered it? And like we talked about, I do think you could not do this with any other artist. I think that the Beatles now are about their music. It's not necessarily about the people, even though it kind of is, but it's not. And I think it's just about them as a whole. And I don't know. I just think you couldn't really just randomly do that with any artist. That being said, I hated everything about this movie. I will never watch it again. I just could not stand it. There were so many things to it that just made me so angry. Like, they had this cool storyline, like this cool, like, let's be interesting. And I agree with Brittany. I wish that they went back and he got to be a guy and remember and like think like, this doesn't matter. I should just go after her. Like, that's what I wish happened. But unlike everybody else, the way that I watch movies, there's 3 things that could happen. Like, that's it. That's why No Way Home was so boring to me, because I knew exactly what was going to happen. I was like, he's going to lose his memory at the end. And everybody was like, how'd you know that? Because that's what happens. Like, it's just, none of it surprised me at all. I was just like, can we be done? Like, this is boring. Like, no characters. I did not connect to any character at all. I just did not feel anything for it. I was like, this is stupid. And the thing that made me so mad was, of course, as a music guy, you would have the 3 most basic movie posters in your room. It was so staged to have Jaws, Jurassic Park, and E.T. Never would have guessed, right? If you like music, that's in your room, like that. It just bothered me a lot. It was like super cliche to have those in there. And then with the pathetic fallacy of like the thunderstorm while he's freaking out, like that really bothered me. I was like, I get that you like movie making, like you have to do that, but like, stop. Like, it just did not, nothing did it for me. I thought the ending was weird. I do like Ed Sheeran's music. I don't listen to his music, but I do like it. I think he's talented. I like that he was in it. But that's it. Like, no, it was not a fan, and I give it a 60. I can't.
Oh. All right. Who else? Denise, did you went already? Oh no, Denise hasn't gone yet. So go to Denise.
Yeah, so I mean, I already said a couple things. Like, I mean, irrationally, I'm gonna love the movies with the Beatles music in it. I accept that it's irrational, and that's just how it's gonna be. I give it a 92. Enjoyed it the second time. I'm really glad that Eric brought it up, because I kind of forgot about this movie, and enjoyed it just as much. And then when it comes to my favorite Beatle, it's been a long road. I know I have mentioned this in the past, that my mom's favorite is Paul, and born on Paul McCartney's birthday. I was very influenced by my history of the Beatles teacher, who clearly his favorite Beatle was John. So for a long time it was that, but then I had to come to terms that my favorite is George.
Oh, nice.
All right. I think I haven't gone.
No, you have not. And we did get Adam's score in the comments.
I'll do Adam's first. So Adam says the premise of the movie is a little too hokey for his liking. Super Troopers. Anyway, the music was okay. The Lennon reveal at the end was the only saving grace for me, just because Lennon's my favorite Beatle. So now we know. But the happy ending kind of bugged me. I wish he would have went back to his own reality at the end. 51.
Ooh.
I can agree with him about the ending. I think that would have been interesting to do that too.
Yeah, he probably should have gone back to because then it would have been like, kind of sucky that he was. Yeah. Anyway,
I also sort of dislike movies to throw away everything you just saw, and none of it ever happened too.
Yeah, exactly. That's my problem. Is that I don't think it would stand up to rewatching.
Right.
If it all was just a dream, it was all just a dream.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not fine.
You
would just woke up and be like, I gotta run to you and tell you how much I love you. It's like, whatever. So.
It's like, yeah. So I did like this in the theater. I liked it again. Everybody that's dissing on it, well, how dare you? No.
Reagan.
How dare you?
Dan wrote this movie.
I wrote this movie, and I am Paul McCartney.
Hey, I do have to say you wrote better than Somewhere in Time.
That's a good point.
Woo!
The truth comes.
I just
out.
like how some people can suspend disbelief for some things and you can't for others. If you do it, you have to do it all the time.
It's
like
funny.
just hypnotizing yourself to go to the past, to 1912. It's April 5th. You know it. Anyway, it's bad acting. I do like this movie. I do think that it is worthy to watch again. It is a movie I would recommend to watch. I like the fact that it was kind of, an unknown main guy, really. I mean, kind of known, but
he's yet another Patel,
Another
Right?
Patel. Wasn't he in Slumdog Millionaire or whatever?
Yes, he was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not the main guy though.
Did you almost say
Right.
Slumlord Millionaire?
I was just Slumlord
Oh, the
Millionaire.
director directed Slumdog Millionaire.
A whole different movie.
Slumdog.
Is Slumlord Millionaire.
Yes. The Donald Trump story. Anyway,
Oh.
well, he was a slumlord. Is a billionaire, not a million. Anyway, I'm going to give it a 91. It's an A minus. So is everybody gone now?
I think that's everyone.
I think that's everyone.
I did want to say one thing that a couple small points that I forgot to mention. I was a freshman in college when Lennon was assassinated, and I can only remember 3 times when I just felt the mood of an entire city or nation just take a dive. One was, weirdly enough, with Jim Henson's death hit a lot of people hard.
Yeah.
The Challenger disaster was one, and then Lennon's death, especially on a college campus, was just like the entire campus just was like you sucked the entire air out of it for that entire next few days. It was just overwhelmingly oppressive. So that really hit home.
And then there was the release of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, the movie. When that was released, I'm sure you remember that.
But there was a deleted scene that actually sort of set up a little bit later. It was a little confusing without it there. They were in Gavin's railroad trackside recording studio recording a jingle for an Italian ice. He's singing, "She loves it, yeah, yeah, yeah. She loves it." Yeah, they're singing, and he just reaches the point where he can't do it anymore, and they kick the guy out. And then that's how they meet Gavin, is he owns that recording studio, and then he goes and says, "I love the song so much, you can come back and record for free." So that's how they set that up.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
Which reminds me, we never covered "Hey Dude."
Oh, you can blame Ed for that one.
Yeah.
That was the best. Oh, and Margaret coming in with a 92.
I did love though the studio people saying, "Oh, it's so much better, so much better." Oh yeah, that's Hey Dude, yeah,
absolutely.
I'm sorry, Dan. I have to agree with Dave about what's her face McKinnon. Is that?
Yeah, Kate McKinnon.
I wanted to kill her.
Same.
I wanted to kill her.
I feel that way all the time about Kate McKinnon. I can't stand her. I liked her in Sisters, and that was it.
I love her.
I used to have a boss that was that honest. And so
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Eric. That is horrid. She's a horrid person.
Eric, did you get Margaret's 92 or did you say 82?
92. No, I got that.
Okay, because she corrected herself, but I'm like, wait, she bumped the 92 to a 92. As long as we
got the 92. Yes, I got the 92.
And Richard does have a good point. The moral of both these movie stories is that the music industry is bad.
Yeah.
And it is.
And Dave, the other thing I wanted to say is that I remember I was at a school dance when the DJ announced that Lennon had been killed in 6th grade or 7th. Yeah. Yeah, Wade's about the same age as you, so.
But you were in 6th or 7th grade, 1980?
Yeah, I was in 6th grade.
That's true. There's one other I remember, but probably mostly Western Pennsylvania, is when Clemente's plane went down. But that's more of a regional thing.
Yeah.
Well, we also have 9/11.
Yeah, Cody.
I remember that.
Cody, as a DJ, Cody, do you announce deaths that are going to bum everybody out during an event?
No.
Especially the sixth graders who had no idea who John Lennon was.
Later.
Hey, Michael Jackson and John Lennon's dead. Coming up next.
I literally didn't
Before
even know
Monday
John
Night
Lennon was
Football.
assassinated. So there's that.
Before the next
I was literally just reading about it right now, and that's
It
like
happened
a
on
crazy
Monday night,
story.
and they said it. They brought it up on Monday Night Football.
Oh yeah, they interrupted Monday Night Football
John
for it.
Lennon.
Yeah.
How would
Well, that, I mean, I understand things
That
like that,
makes
but if you're at a
sense.
school dance with sixth graders, you don't be like,
Well,
John Lennon's dead. Now it's time for an all skate.
It was for the chaperones' benefit.
Well, not everyone's
They
as
announced
professional as you are, Eric.
That's not that's the problem. All right. Well, excellent work, everybody. We might have the longest episode on ratings tonight, but we made it through. You'll be happy to know Sergeant Pepper coming in at a 63.25, just above Spies Like Us, depending on how you feel about that. And Yesterday coming all the way in at an 84.53, sandwiched in between some Christmas music.
It was only 2 above the Meet the Patels.
So there you go. Another successful week and a lot of Beatles music. So unless somebody puts Across the Universe on the wheel, Adam might
That one I've seen.
Well, we could also do A Hard Day's Night. I mean, that's actually a really
for an actual. That's different.
Or we could watch the 75-hour documentary that just came out.
There you go. The one that Eric thought was way, way, way too long.
It is very.
So they had an ad for that, and I'm like, man, I didn't know what it was. I wasn't paying attention, and just because we had just come off of this movie last night, and I'm watching the ad for that, and I'm like, man, how did they get that guy to look just like Paul McCartney? Because it is.
See, remember, we're on a little delay. Adam is saying it right as we're saying it.
Yeah, on the wheel.
I'd watch it.
I don't know if that counts as a movie.
Documentaries or movies.
Whoa. I didn't know that would happen. Hold on. There we go. All right, cool.
Yeah, we've got
both Help and A Hard Day's Night would count.
It's true. All right. Are we ready to find out what we're going to do next?
Yes.
All right. So, as we all remember, or maybe we don't, wheel rules. You get one space on the wheel that gets duplicated week after week with the same movie. Brittany does not have, because her movie was 2 weeks ago and did not get to choose a movie during the double feature week. So she has 2 spots, and anybody else is welcome to change their movie if they want to change all of their spots of movies. Denise and who else was in the comments? Margaret and Rebecca and John need to let us know if they would like a spot on the wheel.
No, I'm good.
No, you're good.
No, I'm happy with what we watched this week. So that
it's going to be hard to top this week, to be honest.
Truly,
we might have peaked. So if anybody wants to change their movie, and of course, I said the people in the comments want to have a space, just let us know what your movie would be, and we'll give you a space on the wheel. Silence.
I have to add a movie. I'm started a list in my phone.
Oh, that's good.
I'm like, I really want to watch this movie again. I feel like I should make everybody else watch this movie.
Make
but
us?
now I have to pick which one.
More or less make. Yeah, more or less. Whoa, there's Dan.
That's Dan, the yawn. Right, the yawn. Wow. Long day.
Yeah, I love that.
I only have 3. Oh, that's right. Because I gave Adam. I lost mine to Adam.
Yes, but I'm duplicating your movie, so I'm giving you the same movie until we get that movie watched. There we go. Oh, Cool Running.
Yeah, good choice.
John Candy.
Yes, that's a good one.
I have no idea what that is.
Cody.
It's such a good one. It's on Disney Plus.
Oh,
the
I've
American
been
the
watching
Olympics.
that all week because Jamaica has a team again for like the first time in 30-something years.
Speaking of the Olympics, my son wants to get involved in curling.
I've been watching curling. The mixed doubles has been airing the last couple of days.
Italy's kicking ass, apparently.
They sure are.
Wow.
There's a place here. Well, it's kind of far from here, but sort of.
Get re-involved in curling as well.
Are you a curler? A different curl.
Yeah. All right, while we wait, I'll share that while I was looking through my Sgt. Pepper stuff, I found this exclusive B94.
Oh my God. I have one of those.
Yes. I have Banana Dawn's autograph.
And if that's not enough, I also found this cherished treasure.
Yay!
Oh, Eric was All-American.
I was All-American, you know.
Show that again.
My
Show that
sporting
again.
days. Huh?
Let's see it again.
No, you want to see this again?
Yeah. 8th grade.
I believe that is 8th grade.
Wait, what is that? Like a baseball card for the band?
Baseball card for band geeks.
I've never heard of this.
Actually have it's a reproduction of the 1964 Beatles calendar.
Oh, yeah, and you go right to Paul. See how that is because he's the
best.
Yeah. Oh, Brady typed in. Did you get that, Eric?
No.
Prestige.
What am I missing? This? Oh, the Prestige. Nice. All right. Dangerously close.
Last chance to change your selections.
Only you.
All right.
All right.
Holding with their choices. All right, let me see. How do I get this back up here? Let me see. Nope, I just moved it. Let me add it. And there we go. All right, are we good? We good? We good? Anybody? Anybody? One?
Are you going to shuffle it first?
I'm going to give it one shuffle.
Oh, wait. We got to change.
Up.
Take tomorrow or Officer Choice.
Dang it.
And change it to Don't Look Up.
Oh, I do want to see that.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not saying don't watch the movie Up.
Yeah, it's not a sequel to the Pixar film.
Right.
Oh, that would be terrible. Don't watch Up. It's sad. All right, I think we're good. We're good. Anybody?
Actually, if you don't swirl it, it's really.
We've been shuffling. I've been giving it one shuffle. So I'm trying to be consistent week.
Everybody's not beside each other.
To not favor. I don't know. May the odds be forever in your favor.
May the odds be with you.
Are we good? Are we good? Are we good? Only one musical on the wheel, and that's Dan's choice. But it's also on my choices as well. So we'll see. Here we go. Next week will be
Bonk.
Oh boy, here it comes, and it's gonna be there. It is.
Great Santini.
Well,
Wade, what is that?
Actually, check and see if you can get that anywhere first.
Yes, I'm checking now.
Thank you, Dave.
Great Santini, 1979. It's
Amazon
available
Prime
on
is $6. Everyone's
or Vudu. So it can be rented for $3.
Yeah, it's available for rent.
On Prime or anything, or
Not
Prime has it for
$6.
$6, a little more, but Prime has it.
they have okay.
Not for free, but yeah.
Not for free. So not as a Prime subscriber, you'd still have to pay for it on top of your
Robert Duvall.
I might be able to get it at the library.
And
Lots and lots of airplanes.
Blythe
Yeah.
Banner.
There you go.
Pepper Potts' mom.
Yeah.
It's not as corny as Top Gun was.
Well, there you go. This is a year after Sergeant Pepper came out.
Yeah,
That's how we judge everything now. It's
Everything is going to be in
ASP, right?
Exactly. I'm okay with that.
And Adam just wants to know, is that where he's a hard ass military dad?
Yep.
Spoiler.
With a heart of gold.
That's right. That's right. With a heart of gold. I'm sure that's what it is. And
Well, since we have gone an hour 53.
Coming up quickly on the 2-hour mark, do we want to do a really quick, if anybody wants to share what they've been watching?
I guess we could do a quick one.
All right. Okay.
I've
I've already shared like the 800 times I've watched Sergeant Pepper, so I will forgo this week. If anybody else wants to share what they've been watching.
I did finally watch Eternals.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It wasn't quite as bad as I had been led to believe, but it sure wasn't good. It was just plodding. It just dragged and plodded along from beginning to end. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot. They tried to do a lot. They did a lot. They tried to do a lot. Yeah, it's not my favorite. I think it definitely rates in the bottom 3 or 4 for me.
Been watching BattleBots and Olympic curling.
Nice.
Reagan and I watched Being the Ricardos.
Oh,
Prime.
I do want to watch that.
It was pretty good. I think that they did a great job. What is her name? Nicole Kidman as Lucy was surprisingly well done.
Yeah.
Heard that.
the guy who played Desi had a better voice than Desi.
That was Javier Bardem. Yeah.
He was really good. He's a great singer. I loved him. It's a sad story. Their life was sad.
Oh, it was. And Lucy Arnaz was actually she was shattered when Cate Blanchett dropped out, but that she ultimately loved Nicole Kidman's performance.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad that her daughter was involved.
Yeah.
Well, we can also thank, Lucy really is the grandmother of sci-fi.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because of Desi Studios and Star Trek.
Yep.
Yeah.
And also the modern sitcom in many ways.
Yep.
Oh, in all the ways. Well, Fort Hammer Shoot.
TV pioneer.
It amazed me that like she started winning in the 50s, and then like in the 70s she's still doing slapstick stuff where she's like falling down and doing her own stuff. It's like, man.
Yeah, that was one of the after-school staples. Is watching I Love Lucy.
Yeah,
dude, I watched I Love Lucy after school. Like,
Yep. That show it still brings in $20 million a year for I think CBS owns the rights.
Yeah, ironically, after school was largely it was I Love Lucy and Star Trek so Lucy was involved in both of those.
Yep.
Crazy.
I think I didn't watch anything this week, but I know I did, but I don't remember.
I just watch Australian Survivor and surfing. That's it. And Dexter.
That counts.
Australian Survivor.
Yeah.
It's a lot better than American Survivor.
Yeah, it's a little bit longer.
In one of the provinces, right? Just stay right on the island.
Basically, yeah. They stay in the same one as like regular Survivor.
same place.
Yeah, but I don't like their host as much. If they could put Jeff in Australian Survivor, that would make it perfect. Like, I just don't like Jonathan.
Watched The Dark Knight the other morning.
Oh.
I don't know. That's like a super random thing for me to put on. I don't know.
I like it though.
It was good.
I watched another episode of How I Met Your Father.
Oh, is it getting any more?
It's more cringy than I would like it to be, and it's definitely taking a step further than I thought even How I Met Your Mother was, and as far as like dirty jokes and stuff like that. But it's okay.
Adam says he's been watching Peacemaker and Boba Fett. Both great.
I gotta watch this still. Oh, I did go. I went to the movies. What am I thinking? On Thursday, I went and saw The Kingsman.
Oh,
I've seen the
prequel, right?
Yeah,
the prequel. Yeah. It was really good.
The Kingsman, the first movie, Golden Circle, I don't remember as well. The first movie, it was really good in some ways, but it also got just so weird in some spots. With
the second was worse.
The heads exploding and everything was just a little too bizarrely over the top. It could have been a better movie than it was.
This one was really good. It had a lot of humor in it, and I've never, ever eaten an entire bag of popcorn and finished my drink at a movie theater, and I did.
Wow!
Wow!
And that's never happened before. So,
did you get up and pee during the movie?
I did not. I've never done that either.
Wow!
Same.
Movie.
If you ever need to hold your pee for 2.5 hours, go see a movie.
So I won't drink during a movie. Like, I drink constantly every day, all day, but I won't get a beverage during a movie because I don't want to have to leave.
Because you won't do that.
I'll do anything for love, but I won't do that.
How good is the Carnegie Library? I should get that. The Beaver County Library System does not have the Great Santini.
Oh,
the Carnegie Library of Pittsburgh does, so we're good.
Well,
congratulations.
You don't own a copy? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to buy one.
You might have to just do that.
He has 2 copies of Top Gun. I think we're okay.
I still never finished that movie, and I had the freaking end, or like the big turning point spoiled for me, and I'm livid.
It's not a big deal, Cody. It's all right. You'll live.
I know. I was just mad.
Oh.
Yes, I did. Yes.
Yeah.
What?
No.
I was really confused when I went through the drive-thru, and I was like, "What the heck?" Yeah, they look gross.
What happened?
I guess you can order off a secret menu now at McDonald's.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Weird.
It's
Yeah.
land. It's called Land, Air, and Sea.
Oh, I did see that.
I have seen that thing, and they're referring to the chicken as air.
Because it flies.
Apparently, if you work at McDonald's, you think chickens fly.
God is my witness.
I've seen a chicken fly. Not like, you know.
Fly.
Yeah.
Would you say air? Would you really go with air?
No.
Fly like a chicken to the sea.
Yeah.
Then you'll die like a chicken.
Yeah, McDonald's
like me.
Chickens could fly.
Yep. Yeah, Gordon Jump was going to do their promos, but
I think is a golden idea, actually. All right, I'm going to share my project before we go tonight, because next week it won't make any sense. But I was talking to Dan about the fact, as you may or may not know, I collect 1/18th scale die-cast cars, and was unable to find this lovely vehicle.
That's hilarious.
Sgt. Pepper, available at an 18th scale. So I'm gonna make my own. I've ordered a truck from eBay. So I will keep you updated on the project as I try to transform this truck. It's 1 year off, so we'll see how well this goes.
See the side of it real quick?
Huh?
Bring that back up real quick. Let me see the side of it.
It does have the sideboards.
Yeah. It's got the right little step.
Yeah.
On the back.
Yep.
It's really close.
What license plate would you put on it?
Well, I actually threw some, because I have the Blu-ray copy of Sgt. Pepper. I actually was able to determine the correct license plate, because part of what I do is I actually get an actual size license plate to put behind my die-cast cars, which of course I'm not going to find that for this movie either. So one of my side projects was to recreate the license plate from the movie.
1720.
Huh? Yeah, I have no idea, but that is what the license plate looks like on the back of the truck.
We still have to find you a 1973 four-door green Impala so you can put it in front of your Ass Man license plate.
That is true. Yes, I know. You've been working hard on that.
Yeah. And Adam was the Funko Pop headquarters.
Yes, he was. And he posted some amazing pictures online.
Very cool.
You'll be quite jealous.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Super cool. So, yeah, he did.
All right. Well, we did a double header. We picked next week's movie.
So how about that? You survived, Dave. You made it through there. If you want to see, there's my screen grab from the movie. You can see there's the license from the movie.
Wow, nicely done.
It's what I do. Somebody's got to, It's all about the
try to do
branding.
search online to see if anybody has any explanation for that license plate?
No. No, there's not a lot of explanations for anything in this movie online. And I thought at the end of the day, honestly, the audio commentary for this movie, the guy is an entertainment historian. And was just talked so slow, but would not stop talking through the movie. Like, he talked the entire movie. So I ended up watching it. You can actually speed up the movie, and I watched it on 1.5 speed. With
the commentary,
it actually made him much more entertaining. And it took less time to get through the movie the third time. So it was good.
Yeah.
So
I should have thought of that.
Yeah.
Next time. Well, thank you, everybody.
You're a funny guy.
And I promised. Oh, look at there.
That's Peter Frampton.
I know,
Today.
right?
Wow.
You don't want to see two of the three Gibbs.
When did Denise leave?
Well, yeah, Barry's the only one still alive.
Yeah, even Andy Gibbs gone.
Yep. Well, he died early.
Yeah, we were young.
Yeah, too sad. All right. Well, on that note, we'll see you next week for the Great Santini. Night. Bye-bye.
In case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.